Welcome everyone, this is Pineleaf Needles and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Andang,
Hey, everybody.
Terry Adwin,
Hi, hi.
Maven,
Hey, y'all.
Erithert,
Hello.
and Carvet.
At your service and your families.
And this week the big news is absolutely nothing. That's right, there is no game news this week. Turbine apparently was too busy working on a DDO update that they weren't paying attention to LOTRO or something.
I mean,
It's
even
such
the
So let's go
store
to our store
sales aren't
sales.
It's
interesting
such
this
a
week.
challenge when there's nothing going on.
What's on sale this week?
Oh, sorry. I missed my cue. The Skype. Blame Skype. Free sample of the week, the 19th through the 25th, is a Universal Morale Potion times 5. Use coupon code GTTY8 one time per account. And we have 30% off legendary stuff. Legendary slot unlock, legacy tier upgrades, legacies, scroll of combination, and relic removal scrolls. Also from the 19th to the 25th, because apparently they said they were going to do weekend deals all through June, and it's going to be longer than the weekend, but 35% off all steeds and mithril coins. So yay! More horses.
I'll
Awesome.
be honest, Terry
Maybe it's
Edmund.
because of what happened last week.
What happened last
They
week was
forgot-
they didn't actually post anything last week till like
Well,
Tuesday.
the stuff went on sale, they just forgot to post it.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a bummer. It's challenging to
Alright,
buy
let's
stuff
head into
when
our-
there's no announcement.
So there was mystery meat sale last week, is what you're saying.
Right.
I know it's kind of challenging to get excited about an LI sale. Anyway, but you know. Well, look, LIs.
All right, let's go into the site news. We had a poll this week, and the question there was, what score did you give Update 16? And ending, what do the popular people say?
Well, the popular people, which are 148 people apparently, said that they would give their top answer being B, with 49% of those 148 people said B. And following close after was A with 30%, C with 12%, F with 5%, and D with 3%. So 8% gave lower than a C. And,
All right.
we gave an A last week on average, so that's, we gave a lower A though, so it's about where we had it, in between A and B is the two highest, so.
Sounds about right.
All right, very well then. Then there was an article this week by Ediocles of Evernight, who asked, do you ever play challenge characters in LOTRO? And I guess we could put this question to everyone. How are we about doing challenge characters? Anding?
Well, before I knew it was possible, I had the idea of doing a character that was going to do just epic story and skirmishes, and that's it. They can only do epic story and skirmishes. And it actually went pretty well. It's surprising how few skirmishes you actually need to do when you're just doing the epic story. The epic story actually gives a lot of XP. And so it's pretty cool that you can do that in LOTRO. I've done a few other challenge type things where I've been way underleveled with a character and constantly doing red level quests. And I've tried to do all on level quests and, done a little bit of mixing up. But I don't do too much challenging stuff. But this is one of our most popular articles, so it seems like a lot of people like to add challenge to their characters.
Terry, have you ever done anything like that?
I've managed to challenge myself regardless of what I play, because I don't really consider myself a gamer, and so playing the game at all is kind of a challenge because I'm not well coordinated and I have trouble figuring out how my class works. And of course, my main is a champion, and I've talked before about how undervalued I feel the champions are in the game. So right there, it's kind of a challenge. But the other thing is, let's see, I've played in a group on Silverload that was we were challenging ourselves by doing content that we disliked, and basically the rule was that at least as long as at least one person in the group said they didn't like it, we could do it. If everybody unanimously liked it, then we had to skip it. And then our
Actually,
what was that?
wouldn't it be being a red line champion be even more of a challenge, seeing how a lot of people seem to ignore red line?
Yep, and that's what I play as a red line champion. And then our Tuesday
Figures.
group, we are sort of challenging ourselves by doing the content as close to on level as we can. And actually, we ended up in Moria kind of under leveled for it because we went in at 50. So we are a couple levels below where everything starts. In fact, we're still getting my character's still getting deeds kicking in, and I'm higher level than everybody else in the group at this point.
Yeah, with that group, we're basically doing nothing but epics and hardly hitting any of the side quests. So most of the stuff that I've been doing is, 2, 3 levels up. So it's been a lot of fun. Also on a redline champ. Haha.
Ah, all right. Maven.
Well, I'm kind of with Terry. I mean, the whole idea of like a challenge is so far above me. I mean, that's like a real MMO players thing, you know. And like Terry, I just find it's just challenging to play the game. So I guess in terms of setting myself, I could see myself doing that later, as I've been in the game more, because I mean it hasn't even been a year yet. So ask me next year.
All right. Eric there?
I've got a challenge tune, I guess, but do I play it? The answer is no. To the great chagrin of all my friends on Landroval, I decided that my Aerother Guardian on Landroval was gonna go full, like kind of the whole total immersion thing, where like I walk places, and I'm not. He doesn't get a horse until he gets to Rivendell. Um, so just like a few imposed rules to force myself to slow down and more role play, but he's still level like 7, so I couldn't really say that I have played him that often. But on my Guardian, I do challenge stuff as much as I can, like try to see how what I can take on solo, like trying bear down survival solo, or soloing a Sambrog is one of the easier ones, but like learning to do those and then like upping and seeing how much I can take on solo at even at cap. So I guess like I do challenge myself in that respect, but having like saying, oh, I can only walk, or I gotta sleep at night, like lie down, find a bed somewhere or a tent and lie down in it at night. I know people that do that, but I don't really do that very often now.
All right. Carvette?
Well, for me, the challenge has been staying on level. Like, there's so much
Yeah.
XP you can get from quests or from VIP or from whatever. Trying to do content at level can be a juggling act, And there's times where I'm switching out my pocket to my disabler and I'm going back and forth just so that I can try to maintain some degree of being on level. And I find myself out leveling stuff too fast. So with the Tuesday group, we're intentionally keeping it on level, capping it to different places so we can enjoy somewhat reasonably in-game content as it was then, on the characters we have now. And then I have another character which I haven't gotten back to, but the challenge with him is that he is going to be a 100% completionist, and I'm going to stream everything he does. Since I've been in the process of switching over computers, I haven't got him back up. But once I get back to it, that hobbit, or not hobbit, he's a warden. He is a
Elf warden.
Elf warden, yeah. Once Karv gets back up to running, he'll be running through the Shire at level 15, and then once I finish everything in the Shire, then I'll start doing Bree. And his deal is he's not going to advance until he's completed everything at his level.
All right. And my usual challenge involves the epic storyline, where I have one character whose challenge was to run the entire epic storyline in order, which meant I wasn't allowed to get my legendary item until I finished the book 15 of volume 1. And and also I had it so that I wasn't allowed to take on a side quest if I had an epic quest that was at or below my level. So I couldn't go around grabbing side quests and leveling up and doing it later. I currently have a character who is trying to do as much of the epic storyline on level as possible. So it's a slightly different variation of the others, but this one has the Stone of the Tortoise, so I can halt experience whenever I need to, and that's the one I'm currently YouTubing.
Awesome. Yeah, Pineleaf, I know that you're probably the person who uses challenges the most in Lotro. Where you
He's the
make up
most challenged.
rule. I was almost said that. Um,
Self-challenging, maybe.
but you know you make a lot of rules for your characters. What's the craziest rule you've made, or the thing that's been the hardest, maybe,
The craziest rule I've ever made.
or the thing that's hardest for you to do?
Hmm.
Tough
I
Pineleaf
don't think I've
questions.
come up with all that many strange rules. I've certainly never done anything like the ones that are in this article. Like,
There's a lot of creative suggestions in it.
I mean, the closest one is the one about the quest being done on level, but the side quests I usually don't worry about. I usually only worry about that on the epic quests.
Yeah, but
I'm
people
certainly not going to do a
often
challenge that involves walking only or making camp every night.
Yeah, people often ask,
Yeah,
well, I've tried a lot of things, how can I, make the game more interesting? Well, these kind of challenges are a great way to do that. If
yeah,
you are, getting burnt out on the game, try doing a challenge,
yeah.
and it's usually pretty interesting. And you don't have to get the character all the way to cap. You can just do the challenge for a while and then go back and do another character just as something different.
Yeah. Now, I do plan someday to do the skirmish challenge, such as the type that you were doing. Though usually on challenges lately, it's been because I've been doing a a permadeath type challenge on DDO and getting all the classes up to level 5 in DDO. And in case you wonder, level 5 is takes a little bit longer in DDO than it does in LOTRO. I know in LOTRO you could do it in an hour.
Yeah, level 5 is probably level 20 in Lotro or so.
Yeah, it's about 20 or 25 equivalent in LOTRO.
But I'm surprised, Pineleaf, that you've never done a skirmish challenge in Lotro.
It's
I feel like that we need to challenge you to do a skirmish challenge.
Oh, the gauntlet's been thrown. The
well, you
challenge
gotta
has been
remember is
issued.
that I guess in a way I've challenged myself to get to Skirmisher Middle Earth on all the classes.
That is way more impressive than this challenge, probably, but um,
So I guess you could consider that to be a challenge.
that is definitely a
And
challenge.
also to do I did right, at least all of volume 3 with all the classes also. But I think the Skirmisher Middle Earth on all the classes is the more impressive one, I think.
I think so too.
All right, then let's head on then to our video highlights. The show must go on.
Yeah, keep moving, Pineleaf. Let's go on to the next one.
All right. And then we have
I'm just joking, Pineleaf, because it's the show must go on. Anyway,
But the show must go on, Ending. Don't let the
then-
challenge stop you.
So yes, this is an awesome video. It fits Moria perfectly, this song. It's completely perfect, and very motivational. If you are going through Moria and are getting burnt out, listen to this song while you're playing. You will be motivated again, and it's really cool. I recommend everybody check it out.
It was very cool.
all right then. Then our next one is the second installment of Poems of the Pine, Arch It. And that, of course, is the second poem in my series, where I gave one last week that was for the tutorial, and now Arch It covers the introduction that men and hobbits do. And this is my bit about writing around the epic storyline, a summary of it in alliterative verse.
Is it challenging to write poems, Pineleaf?
Yeah, it can get challenging a bit.
Okay. I've written a few, but It's always tough for me.
The challenge for me with like poetry wasn't like the coming up with words that rhyme is easy. It's just the making it make sense is the challenging part.
Well,
Well,
if
Yeah.
and
I'm not doing rhyming
alliterative,
verse,
yeah, he's doing alliterative,
Yeah,
which is even more challenging. I
yeah.
mean, boy, you're gonna be, you're gonna be, you could get quite famous as a modern day alliterative poet
or
if
that
you
or
pull it
infamous.
off. Yeah,
Challenge
or
accepted,
infamous.
maybe.
That's right.
I've been telling Pineley for years, with the auctions for like Fellowship Walk when he was auctioning off Skirmish Time, that and poetry. I mean, you got it made, Pineley, for the rest of your life. Just
Yeah,
charging people
really.
for those two things. That's
Right.
You could just quit your day job.
yeah. And you can even say that, you're in the process or have already taken a class by the Tolkien professor about poetry. I mean, you got some credentials.
And you could sing "Root of the Boot."
So if there's a way you could be like, you'd literally be a trained poet at that point after this class.
Yeah. Maybe it takes away the challenge.
Take away.
Well, you
The
at least
fa-
will have mastered Tolkien meter.
the family line, part 49, to field or fortress.
They
And
really
we're
had a
getting closer.
challenging decision to make there. That was a
Yes.
good read.
Talk about a cliffhanger.
Well, yes, but I'm sure he wants to give a really wowish, not wow, I mean outstanding as opposed to a certain other MMO. To really wow us for number 50, which is next week.
Yeah, that one's gonna be a challenge.
We're
Tim's
talking about
pretty good with the cliffhangers, though. I've noticed that tends to be his thing.
Yeah, he's really good at it.
It makes you come back wanting to read the next installment. You're like, no, I have to wait another week.
See, it's challenging to wait because you get so drawn into the story.
All right. Let's head into our pick of the week. And
The Braxwolf Memorial pick of the week,
okay,
finally.
the Brax Memorial pick of the week. And what's the pick this week?
Yes, well, this week it was sent in to us about a really cool blog called Rabidus Roving Thoughts. And apparently they recently moved their site, so that link in the show notes doesn't work as well. Because they upgraded it to a new blog, which is even cooler, because I guess we gave them a lot of extra traffic. But yes, they go through these different roving thoughts and just talk about all sorts of different things. They give tutorials. They talk about like different kinship ranks. I mean, they give a lot of stuff about really anything Lord of the Rings, LOTRO, and just do a lot of guidelines and
So,
tutorials and
is
things
the
like that.
name Roving Thoughts actually on purpose? Like roving threats?
Well, yeah, it's LOTRO
Okay.
related, so
All right.
I'm guessing that'd be quite a coincidence if it wasn't intentional.
Boy, no kidding.
But yeah, it's a really cool blog, and they wrote in asking us to plug it, so here we are plugging it. It's really cool.
Very well then. Then we'll head on. That concludes our players news for this week. And sponsoring our new player question this week is Lalia's Market, where with her new line of actually useful products.
Feel like a bog slug is creeping through your system and threatening to spill down your leg? In a long fight and can't seem to find a break to duck behind a pillar? Or maybe you just can't hold that mother load any longer? You need Dour Hand Depends. One pair will absorb up to 10 times its weight in whatever's threatening to embarrass you in front of your fellowship. For peace of mind and superior absorption, get Dour Hand Depends. Perfect for when you just gotta drop a puddle. Now at a lolly is near you.
Need help with those I ate too much
wait,
at the
wait.
festival stomach aches?
She already has branches.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes, Lalia's line is sweeping the Middle Earth nation.
They didn't tell you what Bingo Boffin was doing.
Oh, that's what he's up to.
He's founding.
He's scouting
new
locations for new
branches,
Lalia
yeah,
stores.
absolutely.
Merchandising, my friends, merchandising.
But wait, there's more. Need help with those I ate too much at the festival stomach aches? Backed up from too much barrow brie? Try Holly Hornblower's laxative pies, guaranteed to blow out that backup or your money back. Each pie is baked from the finest medicinally spoiled berries, then hand-delivered fresh to your homestead from the Hornblower ovens by our dedicated staff of adventurers. Also available in travel ration form at a Lollia's market near you. Holly's Hornblower's laxative pies for when you just gotta blow it out.
And featuring our exclusive line of LOTRO Players News themed products. Pine Leaf Needles Air Freshener. Because you want to skirmish responsibly, not smell like you did.
Maven's Haven sculptured garden retreats, complete with parrots and animals.
Terry Adwin's Odor Neutralizer. Because Pew Pew must die.
Karvet's Log Splitters, handcrafted axes so sharp you'll split the thickest logs into this year's winter stock faster than you can say at your service.
Aerotherapy Pillows. Made from 100% chicken down, you won't find a finer place to rest your head from the Shire to the Hornburg.
And Dang's announcement services. Trained agents make your guests feel hailed and well met any time of the day. Available in Hobbit and Man models only. And maybe an elf.
What?
I like it. I think we need to have more segments sponsored every week.
That's the
Well,
plan.
Awesome.
Yeah, actually. And also,
Awesome.
if the audience wants to submit their own ideas for LOTRO player themed or other Lollia's line products, email us and get the thing later.
Yeah, send it into podcast@lotraplayers.com, and it might make its way onto the show.
That's a
For
great
sure.
idea.
And let's
We'd love
get
to
into our
see
new
what
player
you come up
question.
with.
My leaf's like, okay, that's enough.
Are the differences between weapons just aesthetic, or are the preferred weapon choices by class? Or is it not at all about the looks, just the stats?
Pineleaf, I think you stole Trish's segment.
That's okay. Pine Leaf's my pal. Okay. It's okay. I wasn't here last week, so you know. So anyway, so that's but actually, Pine Leaf is actually one of the people that needs to answer this question. So I are weapons just aesthetic? I mean, is there particular weapons that are? I mean, obviously staffs are lore masters, but there's some weapons that are like interchangeable among classes. It doesn't matter what you pick, or is it really just the stats you need to look at?
Usually stats are tied to certain types of weapons.
Like a sword, for example, has an increased parry rating.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Right, so
So-
each weapon type has a tied to stat to it.
Okay. So it's more like if I was choosing between a sword and a mace, I'd be choosing according to the stat that I wanted, not because I wanted a sword versus a mace, right?
Well, it
It's
depends
not-
on your character. For example, I'm a warden. I am going to use a spear.
Right.
Right, but on a champion, you can use clubs, axes, swords,
Right.
and they're
My
all
hunters
still
say-
effective. Even spears now. They got those fairly recently.
Yeah, theoretically, a warden could do any of those also. It's just that
Right.
I like to play it. Okay, some people complain when I play it with the spear, but I like to play wardens with the spear, and there's certain other character classes where it's the aesthetics is my main goal, and I would sometimes use a weapon past its prime, even though I find a better one of a different type, because I want to use this type of weapon on this character.
Right. For
That's
example,
for the aesthetic.
Sprydra will not use anything but daggers on her burglar, even though you can use clubs and I think maybe swords. So, yeah, she makes sure to stay to what she thinks her class is appropriate. So it's almost a bit of role play with your weapons on certain if you want to.
If you want to, okay.
Or you can
Alright.
just go best stats every time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know,
really.
like, for a guardian, having the extra parry rating, especially in Redline, is super handy. So swords is like the best weapon to have.
So you're shopping according to getting that parry rating up, huh?
Yeah, but that being said, like if I want, like on my minstrel, little hobbit, he's got a dagger because I like a
Right.
dagger. I want him to have a dagger. My hunter, when I get the chance, I'll probably have him with swords because I like
Right.
the sword double sword look. But then again, some of the axes are super duper cool, but just the sword fits the character better. I'm not even looking at any of the other stuff on it for the aesthetics purposes on some of the characters. So, I mean, ultimately it's whichever you want to do, whichever matters most to you.
Got
If
it.
the stat matters more, then look for the stats. If getting a nice looking character matters more, then get whichever one you want to look at.
Okay, that
Basically.
makes sense.
There is another one concerning and that could be concerning crafting professions. I have some characters, for example, my minstrel uses clubs. Why does my minstrel use clubs? Because I have a character on the server that can make legendary, who's a woodworker and can make legendary woodworker weapons, but I don't have one that can make metalsmithing weapons. So therefore, I use clubs because that's what I can make for that
Oh, because
character.
that's what you can make. Yeah, sure. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. So it's kind of personal preference almost, or goals. So there's a few different ways you can go with them, right?
Yeah, different
good.
characters go different. Obviously,
Yeah.
a mini maxer will go based on stats.
Yeah, right. Okay, cool. That's good. Thanks.
Right, then let's head into our week in Lotro. And Anding, what did you do this week?
Well, Pineleaf, I actually did something this week. I know, but it's still lore related, so
Oh.
not too much an accomplishment. Um, but actually, I also started playing through the new area. I just thought of that. Really enjoying going through there. There's a lot of interesting storylines, like we kind of alluded to last week, but I'm not going to give any spoilers. I also had a lot of fun filming dwarves for our third episode of Middle Earth Lore, and it's hilarious to film like 20 dwarves all doing emotes of the Baruch Kazad cry out. And so you have almost like this dwarven Baruch Kazad choir singing their songs out to the cameraman, and it's just hilarious. So there should be some fun bloopers coming from that as well. And Pineleaf was
Alright.
speechless. But Karv, what'd you do this week?
Moria epics, Moria epics, more epics, Moria epics, Moria epics, and I believe more Moria epics.
Did you do any Moria
You and
epics,
Moria,
Karv?
I
Annie?
think I did a little Moria than I wanted to.
Wow.
Cordy.
You know, the challenge for me is not to crack a corny joke at some point. So I was like, oh, Moria, I think I'll just anyway.
Let's
yeah,
be
so
honest, Karv. The challenge is not to crack.
yeah, I think I may have
There
already
you go.
done that.
Don't
but
do
there's
drugs.
band-aids for that. Basically, I've had the past 2 weeks 3 characters go through various parts of the Moria epic. My hunter made it out of the Moria epic into the wonderfully sunny world of Mirkwood, and I've got a champion that's working through with Terry Edwin's burglar, and then me and Mrs. Karv are still in the process of figuring out where the heck we are. And so, yeah, we're doing that. I finally completed all of my characters on the Supreme Crafting tier, so that's good. So I don't have to run around gathering materials for that group anymore. And then I also completed various assorting crafting stuffs and sorting of crafting stuffs, because I wanted to make sure I was done with the Supreme tier so I could move on to West, whatever it is, Westfold, West something.
West.
Go West, young man, because I'm done with the East. And Maven, how was your week?
Oh my goodness.
Plural.
Plural. Yeah, because we didn't do it last week, did we? So let's see. What did I do last week? I have to scroll myself down. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I rolled my first actual Maven. I actually have a character named Maven. Even though it's
Awesome.
Mayve. It's on
Ooh.
Crick Hollow. Why Crick Hollow, you ask? Well, I'll tell you what. Corey's been asked to speak at the Shire Fest on Crick Hollow I think it's in August, and so Terry and I have rolled characters so we can go heckle him at Shire Fest. We invite anybody else who would like to do that. It's in the Greenfields in the Shire, so you don't have to level up too high. So that's what that's about. I ran the Isengard dungeons with Terry and Andang, and then Terry left us, and Andang took me through the last one, and he would not let me kill the troll till all 4 corners came down. And we tried. How many times did we try? 5, 6?
At least 5, yeah.
At least 5, but it was worth it. He told me it would be worth it, and it was worth it. Mythgard Adventures, it was a good news, bad news, this last Mythgard Adventures. The good news was it was my first time doing a skirmish with Pine Leaf, and the bad news was we stunk. Well, actually, no, the bad news was it was survival barrow downs. So being
You don't
stinking
expect
is
to survive
actually,
that.
that's right, you don't expect to survive that. I gotta be honest, I mean, I actually made as many bounties even though we didn't last very long, as I make usually on any other skirmish. But it was fun. It was fun. It was fun working with Pine Leaf, and he'll talk a little bit more about that. My Arkenstone bare-chested dwarf got completely drunk with his brother and Bree. Fortunately, we didn't run into any guards or anything, so we didn't get like thrown in jail, but we probably should have because we were pretty out of it. Glordrail, my hunter, has full rep with the in league, and she scored a Sinister Keg and a Moria Keg for the Kin House. So after Mythgard Adventures, after everybody wiped at Survival Barrow Downs, a whole bunch of us tried out the kegs, and everybody was reporting where they ended up. It was hilarious, pantless. And then today I tried the Vile Maw with Terry's Hobbit Mini and a bunch of Mythgard Kinnies. Good times. It was my first time trying the Vile Maw. I almost tried to get in touch with you, Karv.
That would have been cool.
I mean, the water was running red by the time we finished. I mean, it
It tends to do that.
There's definitely a few things in there that if you know, you can survive. If you don't know, you just die.
I just knew
We just
that you should
died
be there.
a bunch of
Yeah,
times.
the first time I was in there, I didn't know, and I died.
Oh
but
my
I was
gosh.
with a whole bunch of level 100s, so they carried me. But
And
now
I
I know.
cannot imagine doing. We were doing level 58, and there a bunch of us. I think we had. Did we have a full raid? I can't remember, but pretty close. To
We ended up with a full raid, when we were still.
And we had people over level, and it still was stinky. I mean, I can't imagine doing a tier 2 of that. Holy moly!
I don't think there is a tier 2. I think
Oh,
that's
is
just
there
the
not?
it's
Is that
just
just it?
it's just
It's
the
bad
watcher.
enough as it is.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
was
the
going to
watcher,
say.
and the trick
okay,
is you have to
that's
know
good.
what to kill in what order and where to stand when he throws his little
Right.
temper tantrums and
Right.
spits water
Right.
everywhere.
We managed to do that. I actually was on my Runekeeper, and I after about the 3rd or 4th try, I discovered that I was actually doing better in melee than I was trying to do DPS. Ranged. So I actually went up like right close, and it lasted longer than I had any other time, and killed a whole bunch more stuff. So that was kind of interesting. That was an interesting experience. But yeah, so Vile Maw, it's on my bucket list. But we did manage to get some pretty cool titles and some stuff out of it, didn't we, Terry? So it wasn't a complete loss.
Sweet.
So yeah.
Yeah, we're
So
totally
those are
gonna
the
do that
highlights.
on level. Make a note,
Definitely.
We're doing it on level. Trying to.
No, we're not, because we're capping at 60. Remember?
Well, everything as far as I'm concerned in Moria is on level at 60.
Sure. Okay.
Everything at the end of Moria is on level at 60. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Hey, hey, hey.
Okay.
Because then we'll eventually have to do Darnar. Darnagabud, which is like the most evil, nasty, horrible thing you can possibly do at level 60.
But voiced by Galadriel.
Yeah.
That's the one light in the darkness.
I would
Adventurers.
almost rather do Darnar at level 60 with that group than try and do the Watcher, because we don't have a whole lot of range in that group.
Yeah, you got to have a couple folks that can do some range to manage the tentacles.
Yeah.
Got to keep Squiddy in line.
In the Vile Maw, the problem I was having was to get into range, I was dead in the path of those shark things.
Yeah.
So, I either had to go in and then come back out again and go in and come back out again. So I wasn't really shooting much.
Yeah,
and so when I got in closer, I was inside where the sharks were going around, and it was easier, and I was always in range. So that made it easier.
Yeah, the trick is you got to get past those.
Range.
Yeah, you got to get past those sharky tentacles.
Yeah.
And you got to stand on the submerged frame that he puts down, and then you're in the optimal range.
Got it. It's probably from the bridge he broke.
You've got to stand on the bridge.
Okay. All right.
That was what I didn't know.
All right. There's some free advice for all the players there, just out of my experience, out of my reporting my experience.
Yeah, there's more, but that's the big one that I learned.
All right.
Pine Leaf.
All right then. on Arkenstone, my Bjorning was running book 5 of the epic storyline with Terry Adwin. We were going through the early part of the Misties also at the same time, since those are really tied together. We got through the bulk of it. We were about to head into the we're about to head into the end game for that one. We've done the middle instance where
Well, we
you
have to go scout the treasury and then go talk to
right, we got to
Elrond and then
scout
go
it. Yeah,
back
we got to
up
scout
into
it.
the
Then
treasury.
we'll have the final instance.
Because you
But
can't
we've
do anything without checking in with Elrond.
oh, we of course that's the important thing in there. But we have already taken care of a certain annoying dwarf.
Yes, we did do that instance with Gimli, which was fun actually. He went all suicide mode and we just ran after him and killed everything.
Yes.
The Legolas one is the one that's a real challenge. It's like, oh, come on, just hurry up, Legolas.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. All right. And Maven already told you about Survival Barrel Downs, where we went through there. We were running at level 70 because we had someone in the group who was level 68. And we had a couple of them who were relatively low levels, but most of us were somewhere up near 100.
Which makes the result even worse. It's just embarrassing.
Well, actually, Survival Barrel Downs has a way. You will think that a level 70 skirmish will be easy with a lot of level 100 characters in there. Survival
Right.
Barrel Downs doesn't quite work that way.
Survival never gets
It
easy.
starts out pretty easy in there, but as things goes along, it gets tougher and tougher and tougher and tougher
Boy, no
until it
kidding.
approaches you.
That's true. And then you can't see anything too. It's
And
like,
then you can't see anything. You
ugh.
got all these mobs going after. It gets rather hectic, and yes, it does tend to wear you down. So while you would think that level 70 mobs will not be able to scratch a level 100, that's not true in Survival
Yeah,
Barrel Downs.
it's a
There's
whole
Plus, we
some
should
nother level of
mention, but
challenging.
here's the other thing. The other group, Corey's group, what did they last? They lasted to 25 minutes, didn't they? Or even close to 30, didn't they?
Yeah.
I know they made it to 25, but I don't know if they made it to 30. But it was kind of like, oh, well, geez. And they were like a lower level. But anyway, it was good. I'm actually, I shouldn't, I mean, I felt like I did okay. We did okay. We did okay.
And when you consider that we weren't exactly a group that's used to working together,
Yeah, that's true.
and Survival Barrel Downs is one of those skirmishes where you need a group that works together and has a plan in order to really
Yeah,
get up
yeah.
to high scores.
Barnabas in the chat says, "What's the problem? Just call Tom Bombadil."
Oh yeah.
Of
Wish we could.
course.
And my Gladbjorning completed the Moria skirmishes and just completed the fighting parts of Book 6, the Instance New Devilry. I still have this thing about looking into a mirror that I still have to do before finishing Book 6, but I'm just about to wrap up Book 6. So, Arether, what did you do?
Arether.
Unmute.
I was muted. I was muted. I couldn't find the button disappeared and I couldn't find it. Anyway, we did a lunch run this past week, not the week before that. So this past 2 weeks I got better. I'm not sick anymore. Yay.
That's really good. Just
Yes,
by itself,
finally.
that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah. So we did a lunch run, sort of. We did half a lunch run out of 2. Meyer didn't show, or a couple people showed, but they weren't confident they could run. Either one of them was willing to lead a chicken. So it ended up being, they were like, let's just not. And it was like, okay, which is a bummer because it's 1 a.m. over in Germany by the time I can get those started, which is rough, but such is life. And then Firefoot had a really great run until we got into a Regian, and then I got stomped by a tree. Or no, we got all the way into Dunland. We got all the way into Dunland this time, and then we went in through a den of wolves, literally, and it ended badly.
Do you know approximately how many servers have finished?
I can tell you that right now. It's on the forums, actually. The it's in the player events. It's actually stickied there. So
Oh,
far
awesome.
we've had 12 complete, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 die, 6 die, and then a couple not show. That's not right because for some reason it didn't update when I edited it earlier today. Edited. So it's about maybe a little over half of them finish. And we've got, so far still left, we've got Estel, Rittermark, Eldar, Dwaradelf, Morthond, Winfola, Belager, and Nimrodel.
And what's
Those are
this
the
next
ones.
week?
This coming week is Estel and Rittermark.
Well, that's definitely a challenge. That's a challenge
Yes,
under
it
the
is a
heading of
challenge.
challenge. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a real challenge.
it is.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I mean, people have really stepped up. Some servers have really, like, there was just one with 2 people. That's it. That's all that showed up, and went all the way and did a great job. And
Wow.
on Brandywine, we actually went into layers. There was so many people.
I remember that one.
It was mildly frustrating.
You ended up in a layer with nobody, and everybody else ended up in a different layer.
Yeah, I was like, come on!
Oh, good grief.
And, and
And
Lodgers actually had,
they got too close to Bree is what happened.
yeah,
They didn't
Oh.
far
The,
enough, and yeah, they hit
You know
Bree
how
and
those
went into layers.
Freelanders are.
and Lodgers had the biggest run, actually. I don't even know how many people showed up because there's too many in the screenshot to count well, but it was close to 20 people that ran this chicken, and we had like 136 people show up to watch, something like that, something crazy. But they're fun. They're having fun with them.
In Laudra started with like 2 or 3 people at the farm.
Yeah.
Then they just kind of kept adding and adding and adding.
Yeah.
It was really cool to watch. That's like the only one I've been able to really watch because I'm normally doing stuff on Wednesdays. But that was really cool to watch how, you'd go away and do something and come back 5 minutes later and all of a sudden there were like 10 more players and you're like, what's going on? Is it like a magnetic chicken? They're just smelling the waft of the,
Kentucky Fried
Free
Chicken.
lunch.
Yeah, and it's nice. I really hope that we can finish them before the server changes. I expect we will, barring any unpleasant incidents. We're scheduled to finish the last one on July 15th. I've had
That's a good point.
internet problems, but that finally got fixed. The guy came out and redid my internet, so yeah, I've got good internet again. But
Awesome.
so I really hope we can finish them before some of the servers get closed, because some of these servers I know are very small population.
Yeah, I didn't
I've
even
been on
think
a
about
server and there were less than 100 people on total. So it's nice, and I hope the servers can know about it. That's the hard part, is getting on and knowing the server's like, what, this is going on, but getting people to know about it and then showing up to do one last time #1last time thing with their server. So, but yeah, so that was fun. Did that. And then past couple weeks, I've actually been doing a lot of Morsing on my Guardian. I hit rank 6 early last week, over the weekend, I think. And I'm about 9,000 away from rank 7 now. So almost a rank in 2 weeks. So I've been doing a lot of that. Played the Minstrel today because Welcome Back weekend for the win. I'm up to level 47 and I'm getting my legendary item. I'm doing Eregion. I've never done Eregion for some reason, and this is the first time I've actually done the whole area, and I'm gonna 100% everything. I got Ridge Racer today, so I was very happy about that. Took me a few tries, and then the last thing I did this week was trying to do the Osgiliath instances. My kin was running them. We're trying to do the tier 2 and ended up having to leave the run because it was time for a podcast. Imagine that. So have yet to finish the Osgiliath instances on challenge mode. So I'm excited. Hopefully, I finally got my tanking build finished out, and most of the way at least. It's tweaks from here on out, but those foundations there, I'm like, yeah, I can do stuff now. So I'm like, yeah, let's do these instances. So it's fun. It's a good challenge. And that was pretty much my last couple weeks. Terry, what'd you do?
Well, after all that update 16 talk last week, I took Terry Edwin on Landreval back to Dol Amroth. I've been running the Dol Amroth training instance dailies and just picking a faction to run and opening all the boxes, and then I send all my loot to Maven.
Yay!
So Glordriel has gotten rep with several factions courtesy of Terry's.
Courtesy of Terry, yes. Yay.
Yeah, and she's got several of the Nathan pieces too, right? The medium.
That's right. Actually, I have almost all of them now. I'm just missing the chest piece.
Yeah, because since they made that change in 16.1 where you can get all of the side quests, it basically means that every time you do that training instance, you get 7 gold tokens, and the Nathan pieces are anywhere from 10 to 20 gold tokens plus the same amount of silver tokens. So it's a lot easier to get the essence gear. The challenge is actually finding the essences to put in the essence gear.
That's right.
But we're working on that. I've had some stuff passed along.
I'm playing the what is it? The slot machine called Trying to Barter with the Essence guy in Elmroth.
Essence barter. And I also had somebody craft me a first stage LI for Terry. I actually set a thing on Twitter wanting to know if there was anybody on Landreval who could do it, and got a reply from Galliadoc, and so I sent him the stuff for it, and I now have a first age sword and a second age champion's rune, which when I finally get them, maxed out the regular way, I will probably go ahead and try this imbuing thing and see how well it works. And then my burglar Sarissa has been doing a lot of Ale Association stuff. A handful of actual spring quests, not too many, but she's been doing the Ale Association every day. And she has achieved kindred with the Ale Association, which means she earned the creep title, and she's wearing that with pride because she's very creepy.
Oh, I gotta get that.
She also acquired, that's how you get that title. She also acquired the giant shrew pet, which she named Bigger Than Zig, because the Tuesday group, the group that we run with, our runekeeper is a dwarf, and his name is Ziggle, but we call him Ziggy or Zig. And so the shrew is bigger than the dwarf, so she named him Bigger Than Zig. And then I also have done some solo questing, because after I got the shrew today, she hit level 57. And so I swapped out her allies, because I had a level 57 second ager sitting in her vault that dropped on a different character, I'm sure, because I never get alts, I never get drops for the class I'm actually playing, but it's been sitting in the vault, so I dusted it off and equipped it and ID'd it, and so then of course that required some solo questing, and she's halfway to level 58, so she's actually the highest level character in that group right now, which is why I was asking Karv earlier. We're capping at 60, right? So in a couple levels, she'll have to put her pocket back over to the XP disabler and hang there for however long it just takes us to finish Moria. And then I also finished book 4 last week on Arkenstone, along with Pineleaf. Made fun of Legolas in that final instance. We were talking about that Legolas instance. Because he's talking about, be careful and you have to try and sneak. And I'm like, really? Seriously? It's a champion and a Bjorning. We are the least stealthy classes in the game.
Well, as a bear, you could blend in. I mean...
Not so much.
With the bog lurkers?
It's hard to blend with the bog lurker and the wood trolls. Doesn't really work.
Just have a loose bee go in front of you and make it look like that you're just chasing this bee into this place you're not supposed to normally be as your natural habitat. Problem solved. That needs to be a skill now, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Bjorning stealth.
Bjorning stealth.
Bjorning stealth?
I just imagine a bear
sure,
crawling like a little puppy dog on its belly through the bushes.
Yeah, because
We're very, very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits.
So that was a lot of fun, and it's basically been a lot of making fun of elves.
You're making fun of dwarves too, and
making fun of elves, making fun of dwarves, making fun of pretty much everybody in Volume 1, because Volume 1 is my least favorite book, I think, or volume, I think, of the epic story. So I just make fun of it and make wisecracks and make Pineleaf laugh as much as possible.
Let's go to the skirmish of the week. And our topic this week is, what are the pros and cons of Éowyn? This week, supporting the books is Pineleaf. And Arether, what are you doing this week?
N- Um, uh, against my will, um, it's I got kind of
You
late to
got
the party
conned.
on
You got
filling my
conned
Yeah,
into the
name.
you
I got
con.
challenged.
conned into conning against the book's
Well,
description.
it'll be a challenging discussion for
I
you.
think you'll be up to
Yeah.
the challenge, Arthur.
Yay.
You can do it.
Right, this is challenge week here at LOTRO Players News.
Yes, you noticed finally.
Foul.
Yes, you finally noticed.
That was the hidden game. That was the hidden game.
We had a hidden game finally where we were trying to have you notice that we were saying challenge again and again and again. That was this week's password is challenge.
I thought it was going to be like the secret word from
Groucho Marx.
You Bet Your Life.
Yes, see? That's what when we were joking about. I said, say a secret word and a duck will come down, and nobody
I was
got
thinking,
it.
like,
Nobody
Barnabras
laughed.
in the
Nobody
chat.
recognized
Well,
it.
I must
I
have
was
missed when
thinking-
you said that because
You
We
were
had-
on the call
You
yet.
You weren't on the call yet,
That's why,
Pineleaf.
that's why
You
You were
weren't on
out
the
of
call
it.
yet.
Our goal was to see if you'd notice.
oh, did you ever know when it was revived for a little while with Bill Cosby being the host?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't on very long, was it? I mean,
No,
yeah,
it's hard to beat Groucho.
it is hard to be Groucho, especially Bill Cosby.
Carvette, what are you doing this week?
What am I doing this week? Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
skirmish.
talking
Back
about
to the
films
skirmish.
and how AON is what I liked about the films. That's what I'm doing.
Maven?
I am conning the films. Con.
Anding?
I'm pro games.
And
Shocking.
Carrie?
I'm doing the con of the games.
Very well. I'll begin then, and the pros with the book. Concerning the book is what Tolkien did with this is that one of Tolkien's goals of this is, I heard a rumor, I don't know if it's true or not, that Tolkien did not like the resolution of a certain prophecy in Macbeth. And in that, you're saying, how am I getting into Shakespeare in this? In Macbeth, there is this prophecy that no man born of woman shall harm Macbeth. And it's resolved by Macduff having been pulled out untimely from his mother's womb and something like this. And Tolkien thought that that was one of the worst cheap cop-outs in the history of literature. And Tolkien managed to rub this in by finding a better resolution to that. And that is with, of course, the Witch King's prophecy, in that he shall be killed by no man. And of course, the agent of resolving this is none other than Eowyn. So I
Spoiler
am saying-
alert.
Really?
What?
For that one or two people that don't know that the Witch King is going to die from the hands of Eowyn. It's
I
kinda
was
hard to
2 pages
discuss
away, Pineleaf. Come on.
this.
I mean, I have no idea how far away I was from this secret thing.
Oi.
Well, you're the one who someone put Eowyn as the skirmish of the week, and it's very hard to discuss that without the fate
Yeah, I
of a
know.
certain Witch King.
I'm just giving you a hard time, Pineleaf. You can move
Very
on.
well. Arether, what are the cons?
I think a lot of it is that we remember her as, if it wasn't for the movies, like putting the movies like depiction aside, she seems to be more of a minor character, like a major character in her role, but a minor character in her description and the amount of page time she gets. Maybe, like what you said about the prophecy, and like that's summing up the entire person of Eowyn down to 15 seconds. You know, which is when she stabs the guy. And like, I just feel like in the books, there's so much more to Eowyn than what we see in the book. And that's one thing. Another thing, if I remember correctly, it's been a while and I didn't have time to read up on it first, but when she like her thing for Aragorn, that seems to be like it's hinted at and it's touched on very, I guess, delicately for Tolkien, because he didn't seem to be very interested in it. But it's like, well, I'm kind of interested in it. Like how, like we don't see a thing at all from Eowyn's perspective, and that's like kind of a downside of the books, I think, is that there's so little of her from her perspective and getting any of her story and who she is at all. Like there's a little bit, but not much. And granted, part of it's like almost like Treasure Island, and like there's no female characters in Treasure Island except for the kid's aunt in the very beginning. It's similar to that. Like there's not a lot of female characters in Lord of the Rings. There's a couple, and those couple are very important. But even still, we don't get a lot of their point of view of anything. It's written from Frodo's point of view and Bilbo's point of view, but at the same time, like it. I feel like there's just something missing from her story in the books.
All right, I can believe that. For the films, Corvette, what are the pros?
Well, I don't know, like, if people agree with me. This is my opinion, but I think one of the things I like about Eowyn is that they cast her in the films in this very, I'm trying to think of the word here. The word I want to use is, she's very postured in the sense that she's been brought up in the family of royalty, but she's in court, but not yet as, like, the heir to the throne kind of a thing. So she understands what her role is in society, but at the same time, I think they say it real good in the movie. Real good, yeah. They say it well in the movie that she's afraid of a gilded cage. I was just thinking, man, this here's Corvette's Redneck movie review. No, but
I was on board, Karv. Let's hear this. Let's hear this Redneck review.
Do it.
Yeah, I'll have to. Oh. Well, what I like about Eowyn now, she's a right proper lady. You understand? She knows how to act with them manners and stuff. But the thing is, she's a real rebel at heart. She likes to get out with the fellas and, like, cut stuff and shoot stuff. I mean, they didn't have guns, mind you, but I'm sure she could shoot a bow real good, right? So they'd be out there, and what they'd be doing is she is on the one hand a warrior chick, but on the other hand she expects to carry on her character in court. And so, she's got this kind of thing where she's bouncing back and forth between who she is and who she wants to be. And so when she gets up on that horse and she's like, you know what, I'm going to dress as one of the fellas and I'm going off to war. When she does that, in the movie, you see she's kind of cool with it and she's going at it. But then there's that big battle scene where there's like, horses and there's orcs and all manner of craziness going on. And you see she's charging, and then that poor little hobbit feller, he's sitting there going, oh my goodness. And her face is like, what have I got myself into? I done bit off more than I can chew. But then, you see the battle going on, and she has her epic moment there with that Witch King feller, and he's like, no man can kill me. And she's all like, son, I am no man. She whips off her helmet, the hair blows in the wind, and she's like, bam! Pig sticker to the face, sucker. You're going down. So, I mean, yeah, I think Eowyn had some really strong moments there.
That was like Andy Griffith doing his Noah the Ark.
No, it was Andy Griffith doing Romeo and Juliet. That's what I
Oh
was
yes,
thinking of.
yes. It was Andy Griffith doing Romeo and Juliet.
Wherefore, there Romeo, and he popped up and just said, "I'm right here."
That was amazing, Karv.
I just want to let you know that my wife, Mrs. Karv, is standing here with both hands in the air, looking at me with mouth open and big eyes, going, "What was that?"
I think we should have the chat vote in the comments if we should have Redneck Karv or normal Karv return next week for the whole episode.
Redneck Karv, absolutely. And we have a name for the episode.
Occasion. Don't worry.
Oh my word.
So I mean, yeah, as a character, I think Redneck Karv kind of summed it up.
The chat has already voted unanimously. Redneck Karv needs to return.
I will slip in and out of character, okay? Anyway. All right, so
we can rename the character Carvey Joe.
Okay.
Where's
Well,
Carvey
see,
So,
that's
Joe?
it. Carvian, he's
David.
my elf, and I speculate that when I do a little bit of that there warden in
Speculate.
the shower, he's gonna be the one who talks like this, cause he's like, "Oh, you want me to go get rid of that bear who's causing you trouble with your lumber pile? I can take care of that. I'm a strong elf. I'm one of them over there y'all elves, you know. We're from the backwoods, but I'll take care of that for you."
Barnabas in the chat says, which is the character?
Yeah, that's
You'll
a good
never know.
question.
You'll never know.
All right.
Anyway, so if you want
Dave-
to go ahead and do the cons, maybe.
yeah, David.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So I have to follow that up, please. Well, I haven't done, like Arthur was saying, I haven't gone back and looked at this, but I do, and so I can't give specifics, but I will tell you that they wimped her out in the films compared to the books. And I
What?
wish I
She kills an elephant.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. There's something I'm trying to remember what it was now, but in the first of all, she just doesn't her face off with the Witch King is just diluted compared to in the books. It's different. They have I don't know. They still make her. There's something. Oh, Legolas has to save her. Doesn't he save her from something? I don't know. But anyway, I can't remember in the movie. It's funny. I was just reading this. I'm actually doing research on Eowyn right now, and I actually read a thing about this where somebody was talking about how they just diluted her in the movie compared to the books. She gets emasculated if that can happen to a woman. Um,
Emasculated.
yeah, I mean, it just she's not as awesome in the movie as she is in the book. She just isn't, and I don't know. And it's not even just the battlefield thing. I just the whole. I don't know. I like Miranda Otto, but I don't know. She was just a little bit too floppy for me in the movies compared to the Eowyn of my brain in my brain from reading the books.
She had that
Um,
big, giant cow eyes there, like.
Yeah,
Times.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And yeah. So yeah, I wish I could look up and remember that the specific piece in the scene with the Witch King, because there's something that actually is in the book that they changed in the movie that just made it less. They made it less awesome for her. Like she needed help, and she didn't need help in the book. She did it. She just did it. Um, let's see, and I'm trying to remember. I think Theoden actually is already dead, isn't he? They don't have the whole goodbye scene in that they do in the movie. He doesn't actually know because he dies, so he doesn't actually know that she's even there in the book. But anyway, so yeah, it's just they changed it too much. I don't know, and it's kind of sad. I wish they hadn't done that. I don't know why they felt they needed to do that. It's just a statement about our society today. Anyway, so that's my con. I wish I had more data for you.
Jackson, I can do what I want.
All right, ending. What are the pros for the game?
Well, first of all, back to Maven's cons. I know this isn't a debate, but I kind of disagree. I think that Eowyn was awesome in the films, but that's just my
Not
2 cents.
not relative to the book or the game. I think of the three, she's the weakest in the film.
Yeah, but she's still awesome.
Well, what the hell am I gonna do? I'm doing a con here. Jeez. I didn't say she wasn't awesome, but she's less awesome than she is in the book or in the game.
I guess that I forgot that you complained about me taking the game, so now I seem like a really big jerk. So I'm
That's
sorry.
That's right. Your true colors are showing.
So anyway, I love Eowyn in the games as a character. She's just so perfect, and we see a side of her that we don't really see very much. She's very much a leader, more than I think in the books probably because it's more fleshed out. We get to see her leading over a longer period of time as they're trying to evacuate this city and make their way to Helm's Deep. And she's giving orders to all sorts of people, and it makes sense that she's giving us quests because she's clearly trying to manage this huge, giant operation. And I think as far as quest givers go, she's probably one of the best from a story point of view to be giving quests out. And so I think they did a really good job with it. I think that part of the game goes a little bit too long, but Eowyn's awesome in it, so it's pretty cool.
Okay, I want to add. Can I add? Can I add? Because I just want to add to what you already said, which is, the thing that I love about the games is that in the book, you basically get sort of this one line of, Eowyn will lead our people to Dunharrow, and it's not I mean, I know all the years that I read the books, it never really occurred to me, what does that actually entail?
Yeah.
In the game, you really see what that entails. You
Mhm.
know, it's like a serious logistical issue, and I really appreciate that in the games. It's a similar to my appreciation of really getting a sense of how Saruman has done his thing through Dunland and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
it's another example of that same thing, and I really loved getting into that. So I just wanted to add to that.
I
Thank
Definitely.
you.
think my
Awesome.
favorite depiction of her, I think, is in the games.
Yeah, I think so. Mine is too.
And we didn't have to see her standing outside watching flags rip off of flagpoles as they flow in the wind,
But that's so much of her character, dude.
landing perfectly right at the foot hooves of Aragorn or
The
Gandalf's
foot
steed.
hooves.
The
foot
foot
hooves.
He's
hooves.
not a
The
fawn.
horse hooves, come on.
You know, the foot hooves.
The
I mean,
foot
that was like one of those. Hey, this will be really cool and symbolic, and we'll just throw it in there. And it's like, okay, really?
And behind the scenes, you're like, okay, drop the flag a little more to the left from like the crane.
It is a cool shot, though. I mean, it is a cool shot, but after like the fifth or sixth time, you start to realize that it's not as cool as you thought it was.
Right. Terry, what are the cons for the
Mm-hmm.
game?
Okay, so I'm gonna preface this by saying that the depiction in the games is probably my favorite depiction of Eowyn because you don't really see a whole lot of her in the films, and especially because having read the books not that long ago, again, so much of what Tolkien wrote about her is just cut from the movie. She's limited to this little
Right.
bitty scene in um, Edoras where Wormtongue gets expelled and you find out that he's been like lusting after her. Like that's such a surprise to anybody. And she's all, ew, get him away from me. And then you have that flash of her in the guy's armor, and then all of a sudden, hey, she's stabbing the Witch King, and then she's done. It's like, what? So, so the games for sure are my favorite depiction of her. But here's the thing, I'm a little torn because we see her in Dunharrow, and that's the last that we see of her. And as far as we know, given quest text and such, before we headed off through the Pass of the Dead following Aragorn, as far as we know, she's planning on staying there. So my con is that she better show up again when we get to Minas Tirith.
Yeah.
For
She's gonna show up.
reasons.
Yeah.
She's gonna show up. If the Writers 4 actually had the plot continue without any quest, they're definitely gonna have Eowyn show up later on. Even though they didn't finish out the Writers 4 story, they still had them there at Helm's Deep with one of the writers killed. They're definitely gonna have Eowyn there at the battle. That
But the other thing, which is sort of a con both for for all of Aowen as a whole, not just the games, but her whole portrayal, is this whole frustration that she's got with like this gilded cage that she's in. Which, okay, I get it, but we see that despair like all over the place. We even do see it in the games. We get that echo of despair, and it's like, really? So
I know.
it's very frustrating to see, and that whole thing with Aragorn, no, whatever.
Actually, one of the things that got me in the games is that right there are a couple of quests where you go out and fight with her. I'm wondering if she's been skipping all of her meals as they imply in the game. Where's she
There's
getting
no
the
way she's
strength
strong
in order
enough
to do all that?
Yeah, exactly.
I tell you what, I have kind of a bitterness towards Eowyn in the game so far because all of the I haven't been up to that level very often, and the one time I was up at that level, that's one of those quests where you go out and fight with her is against a warband, and at that time I was sucking bad at mounted combat, and so I died like 4 times in a row on that stupid quest, and I was like, you know what, Eowyn, fight your own battles, I quit. And I went questing somewhere else, but it was just like, oh,
keep your hair, Eowyn. Nobody wants that.
ain't doing it no more. Find somebody else to be your orcish pincushion.
I think I have mixed feelings about my experience with AO in the games because I made the mistake of zippity doo on my way up to cap and not realizing there was a whole bunch of trait points and useful things like that that I could get. And I realized it, and going back, like her quests were really buggy to try to pick up again in the middle of them. I had a terrible time trying to get Eowyn to cooperate after I ditched her. It was she's been wounded. Yeah,
Hell hath
she
no
had
fury like a woman scorned.
basically. I was dealing with that, but I as far as her character and getting to see who she is, I like the games the best.
One thing I do want to mention that we haven't talked about yet is that her actual like character armor and like what she's actually wearing makes her seem much more of a heroic character than in the films, I think. I think that we kind of take that for granted sometimes, but I was really surprised when I saw Eowyn in game how heroic she looked, especially when you compare her to just the plain white, like ratty dress wearing Rohirrim princess of the
You're right.
films.
And that's more consistent with the book, actually, because, there's a
It
scene where
is.
she's standing in front of Edoras in her armor, and that's, they see her. She's still standing there as they're disappearing over there. Yeah, you're right. They made that more aligned with the book than the movie did.
Right.
We currently have 12 supporters on Patreon. If you would like to join this illustrious rate of players and help support LOTRO players, simply go to the donation page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you will find rewards including a mention on the podcast of your choice or even a guest spot on an episode of LOTRO Players News. And how far are we from the next goal, Andang?
Well, before we mention how far we are from the next goal, I would like to mention that there is a giveaway going on right now on Guild Wars players for the top tier of the Heart of Thorns expansion, which is really exciting because it actually comes with the base game Guild Wars. So if you buy that expansion, you can actually play the base game right after you purchase it, and also once the expansion comes out, you'll have that as well. So there's a giveaway going on with that right now. And if we make it to our $100 goal, which is just about $5 away, we'll be doing another Heart of Thorns expansion giveaway. The reason we did the first one was because the expansion got announced. The reason we're doing this one is because it's next in line to do a Guild Wars giveaway. So that is what is next. And the next LOTRO giveaway is a lot further than that. But it is a 1-year VIP. So if we could get to that, that'd be really cool to do another one of those.
Sweet.
Our featured comment this week is from Berenthalian, who left a comment on last week's show. Instances ideas. Gothmog raid, 6-man. Basically, set in the Morgul Vale, pre or post Blackgate shenanigans, depending on how Turbine wants to do that story. Post would be ideal, as no concerns bringing Kirith Ungol to Sauron's attention. We would have Goladir with us, or he runs in unawares as end boss fight. Others could include Jajax, back in Harad, liberating his people from Sauron lovers. Maybe we could have some more War of the Ring elsewhere based ones, such as Northern Mirkwood defensive skirmish or instance from invading Easterlings, etc., but better quality than Erebor cluster based ones. We did not receive any emails this week, but you could send us one by contacting us at podcast@lotroplayers.com.
That's
And you
right,
could
finally.
follow us-
Real quick, I know I'm interrupting you, but I did want to mention we have not received any reviews on iTunes in the last 3 months. And, we've had our 100th show since then. We've had some really good shows. We've also recently had a ton more people listening to the podcast. So it'd be great if you guys could take, just a minute of your time to go over to iTunes and give us a review on there. That would be fantastic. We'd really appreciate it. Now you can
contact us
continue.
by sending it to podcast@lotroplayers.com. You could also follow us at Twitter, the Players Alliance @Players Ally, Lotro Players @LotroPlayers, Andang @PVMP_Andang, Arathert @Arathert, Carvet @CarvetLP, Lily Kate @LilyKateBuggins, Maven at Tolkien Maven, Pineleaf at Pineleaf Needles, and Terry Adwin at Terry Adwin. The Players Alliance has 3 live shows every single week. On Mondays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have DDO Players News. On Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Guild Wars Players News. And on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have LOTRO Players News. You can join us for our live shows every week at lotroplayers.com/live. Thank you everyone for listening. That is all for tonight. This is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.